Scott the Waz.
Hey y'all, Scott here.
One of the most influential, charming, and funny YouTubers out there. So today, I want to discuss why Scott the Waz is one of the best YouTubers.
What? Oh, sorry about that, man. So, according to my plans, apparently plans have changed and we're gonna be talking about someone else today. Oh, there has been?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about someone else today.
Who exactly?
Scott Pilgrim.
Who?
Is Scott here?
You know what? He just left.
What the
So after watching the Scott Pilgrim movie and after looking up the entirety of the lore of the entire history of every Scott person known to man, I now fully understand everything. I know what color Scott's sword is.
Blue.
Okay, almost. With this knowledge, I can finally make a video that involves this guy. Alright, so what Scott Pilgrim media am I going to be talking about today? Well...
Yo, wait, hang on, this game exists?
Yes, this game does indeed exist. In all honesty though, this is one of the most obscure licensed games that I have covered so far. It's mostly due since this is my first video that I have made so far. It's not obscure because it's bad, but it's mainly due to its interesting history. So I should probably start there before I actually talk about the actual game itself.
Yeah, you should.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game was released alongside the movie of the same name. Well, minus this. It was an adaptation of the movie, similar to other licensed products around the time when it was released. It was well received by critics and fans too. Unfortunately, it was suddenly delisted from all storefronts in December of 2014. It is unknown why it ended up being delisted. The reason is speculated to be due to the license expiring. This is very common to other licensed games being pulled from the internet. It also didn't help that the film that it was based on was a box office bomb at theaters when it released in August of 2010, which probably made them pulling the plug a whole lot easier. However, what made this game more devastating than any other licensed game is that there was no physical copy. Yes, you heard that right. Unlike other licensed games that were released around the same time, even though they were delisted, you could still play them if you hunt down a physical copy. But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, was a digital-only game, meaning there was no way to play this game unless you bought it before it got yanked from the storefronts. However, in some holy miracle that not even Jesus Christ could predict, the game ended up being re-released in January of 2021. It was released on PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. It even got a physical release via limited run games, meaning it's now officially preserved. Okay, so quick story, but when I was on vacation in Florida back in December of last year, 2022 to be precise, I actually found a physical copy of this game in the wild at Best Buy. Honestly, seeing that made my day. Anyways, I think the reason why this game got re-released is that around 2020, the film that it was based on has gathered a cult following. Followed by that, an outcry of fans convinced Universal to... well, that. So now we know this history. Let's see if the actual game itself is good enough to warrant its re-release. So before we talk about the actual game itself, let's talk about the technical issues. God damn it! So as I was saying, there are some annoyances with this game, specifically with the PC version, which is the version I'm playing for this video. You see, this game was developed by Ubisoft, who is currently having a fucking stroke at the moment. One of the main issues people had when it first released back in 2021 is that for PC, it was exclusive to Ubisoft's own launcher, which people didn't like in the slightest. It was finally released on Steam almost 2 years after its official release. And even then, it still had issues. One of the issues was the fact that this version was literally just a Ubisoft Connect port and nothing else, despite not saying anything in the Steam description. There were also controller support issues from what I've heard. I didn't encounter any issues when it comes to this, but I heard it was an issue when this port initially launched. Thankfully, it looks like they patched it. But what they did not patch was the terrible audio. The audio is too quiet. This was another issue that was reported by a lot of people who played this game. As at the time of this writing, it still hasn't been fixed. And if you want to fix this yourself, you have to jump through lots of loopholes in order to fix this issue. And then there's the achievement support. How did they fuck this up? I like going after achievements for certain games that I really love, especially on Steam. But Ubisoft decided to not only include achievement support for not only this game, but for all their games they decided to add back to Steam. All these reasons combined to this port getting a mixed rating on Steam. Well, at least I put a funny review.
Hey y'all, Scott here.
And while I'm on the topic of technical issues, I want to talk about some bugs I encountered. In all honesty though, these bugs aren't major, although they're kind of funny. There was a bug where I was unable to enter the store on the third level, and on the same level I was beating the shit out of Todd so much I accidentally have him clip through the wall of the arena. I was able to beat him thankfully, but I wasn't able to get all the coins he dropped. I guess being vegan allows you to enter the third dimension, huh? Oh, and then there's this. What the hell? Alright, enough said. Now onto the actual game itself. So the story revolves around a 22-year-old named Scott. Yes, I spelled that corrected. He is in love with this girl named Ramona Flowers. There's just one problem. In order for Scott to date her, he must defeat her 7 evil exes. Matthew Patel, Lucas Lee, Todd and Graham, Roxy Richer, Kyle and Ken, and Grim and Graves. So Scott, Ramona, and his other friends travel throughout Toronto to battle, or more actually, fucking murder them! In order for Scott to make out with Ramona. So the story is pretty simple, but I like that it's a mix of real life and video games, and most importantly, the style and nostalgia of the 2000s. So it's a really fun and solid story, and it's very relatable as being a teenager. Honestly, the best part of this game is when you defeat Lucas Lee, he attempts to look like a fucking badass by grinding on the rail Tony Hawk's Pro Skater style, and ends up fucking dying in the process. I don't know why I thought that was funny, although the movie did do that a bit better.
Wow.
With the story out of the way, let's talk about the gameplay. And it's pretty fun. However, there's some jank here too.
He just f***ing cut down the tree!
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game is a 2D side-scroller beat-em-up where Scott and all his friends all have different movesets they can perform. And you can unlock more moves the more you progress through the game. Like this move, which is my favorite. That's not all though. You can also pick up certain objects to either use them as a weapon or throw them at your enemies. My only gripe is that sometimes trying to pick up weapons can be a bitch. Alright, I found a baseball bat. I'm gonna pick it up and use it as a weapon.
Holy damn! Mates is gonna be picking some heat!
Alright. Come on. Come on. Scott! Shit! Why? Why? Scott, pick up the damn weapon! Why? Why? Butterfingers. When playing, you also have a life counter, a health bar, and a gut bar. A heart bar shows how much health you have before you get knocked out and lose a life. Lose all of your lives and you get a game over. Gut points are interesting. It acts for both your special moves and your revives. If you use a special move, which varies with each character, you'll lose gut points. Instead of dying, you get revived automatically and exchange a good chunk of your gut points. I like this system because it gives players a choice. Would they rather use all their gut points for just special moves? Or do you want to save those gut points just in case you lose all your health and almost hit the crib? Up to you. Since I'm playing the game as Scott, I only had access to 2 special moves. One is when Scott does a cyclone attack, which is great for crowd control, and the other special move involves Scott summoning Knives Chaw, who doesn't do anything? Sorry guys, I couldn't tell what he does. You know what, I'm gonna look this up. Oh, so that's what it does. Every time you defeat an enemy, you earn coins. There are special areas throughout the game where you can earn even more coins. You can spend coins at shops that can replenish your health, gut points, and raise stats. Certain items can also be taken to go that can be used if you run out of health. So essentially it acts as a revive, just like the gut points. The problem I have with them is that they don't tell you what certain items do until after you bought the item. You have to look up a guide just to find out what item does which.
Man, I know this might be a bad time right now, but you owe me $32,000 in legal fees.
Wait, what? Now, let's talk about the levels and the bosses. The first level is Snowy Toronto, and damn, what a good first impression.
Sure. That's a dam.
I know. It is magnificent. This level honestly gives me nostalgia from the 2000s, just like what the movie has achieved. Honestly, the entire game screams this. Honestly, it's just lovely. The visuals of the level have a nostalgic feel in music. And damn. I keep saying damn when... And damn, And damn, can I just talk about the music for a hot minute? The music is the best part about this game besides the visuals. It just fills me with nostalgia from the 2000s, which I wasn't expecting. The soundtrack was composed by Amaguchi, I think that's what they're called. And they made really good stuff for this game. Huh, I wonder what else they made. Oh, they made that. Nice! Anyways, after trucking our way through this snowy level, we encountered the first evil X, Matthew Patel. He sort of acts as a regular enemy at first, but then later on in the fight he decided to summon Batgirl to do his bidding. I kicked his ass and ended up killing his Batgirls in the process. So yeah. Second level is Movie Madness, and it's, you probably couldn't guess it, a movie set!
Holy shit, no way, fuck, I gotta tell somebody. Dad, I figured out what a movie set looks like. Oh god damn it!
How the hell do you not know what a movie set looks like? I failed comp tech class so many damn times.
Honestly, like that this level actually embraces the theme of a, you know, movie set. Like, Jesus! They have a nuclear set, a temple set, a fire set, and a stun set. Like, Jesus! How many extreme sets do they need? What movie are they even making anyways? I'm calling it. I'm calling it. It's Fast and Furious X. It has to be. Only that franchise can go so extreme for its set pieces that it's allowed. Like Fast 9 involved them going to the fucking moon, for Christ's sake! After going through this level, we encountered the evil X who fucking Bill killed himself at the end of the fight. Also, this is how the fight went. Man, he really is just a wuss.
At least he got that American... Wrong movie.
Stage 3, the Clash of the DemonHead level. So this level is a Contra theme which is perfectly themed. Oh, and the main stage is absolute chaos due to how many enemies are in that area. Anyways, the Clash of the DemonHead consists of 3. Lynette, Envy, and the evil X in this stage, Todd. Because of this, the boss battles are different this time around. Both Linty and and V are both mini bosses while Todd is the main boss. Lindy is a rodeo type fighter, so you can even kick you high up in the air if you're not careful. Envy can teleport and uses her extendable arms as an attack. But the main course of this stage is obviously Todd. First, he turns into SpongeBob at the end of the SpongeBob movie and decides to run their ass! Then he tried to play Garage Band, but we cheated. Then he gets pissed and then takes the entire fight outside. Yeah, all this happens in like 5 minutes. He has 4 attacks. He can choke you, fire electricity out his forehead as a melee attack, make all objects fly around the screen, potentially causing you to get hit, and then he turns into a mutant overlord and fires a giant laser at you. Although he gets stung in the process due to being subdued by the vegan police. Yes, he's vegan, and yes, the vegan police somehow exist in this universe. Afterwards, I beat him and he exploded. That sir was complicated. Stage 4 is Summertime Blues, which is all train and ninja themed. Yes, I said that correctly. They get right into that too. At the first start of the stage, we see the 4 female eggs, Roxanne Richard, who is actually female. Yes, I spelled that corrected. I also find it funny that the game calls Roxanne a ninja chick. That's what I'm gonna call her from now on. Anyways, we fight our way through the stage, and then the ninja chick decides to slice the corner of the train and follow her up to the roof of the train. We make our way to the roof of the train, then the ninja chick slices the train again, and we cross into a ninja hideout.
Are we just gonna talk about the fact that a chick attempted to murder a bunch of people because he had beef with them?
Yes!
By the way, most enemies don't stand a chance against me with the katana equipped. Now we make our way to the garden of the stage. Looks really pretty. After we track our way throughout the stage, we can finally fight the ninja chick. So you can pretty much do what a samurai or ninja do, although she does have an extendable sword that can hit you. I beat her and she sliced herself to death. Stage 5, Night of Terror.
Sure, it's February.
Sure, it's March. Seriously, what the fuck happened to the production schedule? My fingers are too slow. So this stage is Halloween themed, meaning that this stage includes people mishandling the use of disco balls. That's it. After that we make our way outside and then almost get killed by a giant robot literally called Super Fighting Robot. Bruh, that's the most generic name you could have came up with. I can't. Anyways, this was made by the twins who are the evil exes of this stage.
So wait, you're trying to tell me that Ramono f***ed 2 men instead of 1?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's possible?
The robot mostly uses its hands as a form of an attack, and can also go into the foreground of the stage to fire missiles at you. After defeating the generic robot, the twins escape to their dragon den, so we need to go after them. I make our way through Dragon's Den, and eventually we get to fight the twins.
Oh man, this fight about to be hard with the twins involved.
What the fuck is your weapon on?
Really good steroids.
Stage 6, the park. Honestly, there's not a lot of things to talk about in this stage besides the zombies that appear for some reason. But what I can talk about is the boss of this stage. Scott? I think that's his name, probably. Unlike the other stage we talked about, this stage does not have an evil X, because the last stage we fought 2 instead of 1. Instead, we get Scott, who is Scott Pilgrim's evil twin. Scott can pretty much do anything Scott can do. Again, he's literally Scott's evil twin. Honestly, one of the most memorable fights in the entire game, and the soundtrack that plays during the fight also rules.
Hey man, have you ever had an evil twin before?
Maybe. The final stage, Chaos Feeder. This stage does something interesting for a final stage. Instead of going through hallways fighting your way to the boss, you need to fight your way while in an elevator. The elevator will eventually stop and you need to break the locks and defeat all the enemies that spawn every time the elevator stops. You also have a time limit, so you need to do this quickly. By the way, if the timer reaches 0, you'll take a lot of damage. Just letting you guys know. Interesting gimmick they put up for the final stage. After I dealt with the elevator, I got to fight the final evil X, Gideon Graves, who is extremely... Is that Scott the Wasp?
Hey y'all!
Who is extremely buff. He consists of kicking you, charging at you, and firing f***ing meteors from the sky somehow. After getting enough hits on him, he ends up sucking us into his chest, and we end up in a dimension realm. You need to make your way forward, but watch out for the blood droplets. They can deal a good chunk of damage to you. And no, blocking won't save you. I tried. After that nonsense, we get to... Oh, God, okay. What the fuck is that? Okay, so now Gideon Graves is literally a god now.
Don't worry, man. You beat every other X super easily. You'll be able to do the same here.
Oh, wait.
Man, I can't believe this is the only boss he had some difficulty with. Jeez. Maybe you should call God himself to help you out.
God ain't gonna do shit!
Hi, Jesus Christ here. I'm unfortunately not available at the moment to deal with your bizarre issues. I have my own issues to deal with. Sorry about that. Toodles!
Well, guess your plan is out the window. So, now what?
Well,
Yeah, I ended up having to input a cheat code in order to beat the final level. The cheat code that I used was called the sacrifice code. How it works is that if you input the correct combinations, it kills you immediately, but you get a buttload of coins from it. It allowed me to pay Scott rent fees. It gave me access to some really powerful items that allow me to max out my stats. If you want to know how to do this trick, I recommend Digital Foundry's video regarding this cheat. So after maxing out my stats and completely annihilating Grimsion, he ends up fleeing and we have to go after him. We enter his laboratory of some kind filled with robots and robotic women. After that, I'm finally putting an end to Grimson's and god fucking damn it, it was another fake! So that's why he barely attacked during that fight. Grimson attempts to plead mercy, but one thing that this motherfucker doesn't know is that I played way too many Mega Man games, so this trick doesn't work on me. I killed him and that's it! All the evil X's are defeated and that was Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the game. Honestly, a really good time. But there is other stuff to do when all is said and done. I didn't mention it yet, but this game can be played to up to 4 friends like any other beat 'em up. There's also online play, although the online play from what I've heard is broken, so that's nice. Thank you, Ubisoft, you dumb bitch! I wasn't able to get anyone else to play with me for this review, so I just played solo. You can unlock Niga Scott if you beat the game as all 6 characters. If you have no life, there's also 4 extra modes that you can play. They were originally unlocked via cheat code in the original, but in the re-release they are unlocked from the start without cheat codes. There's a boss rush, which is exactly what it sounds like. There's a horde mode, a battle royale mode, which I couldn't play because it requires a friend to play. And finally, dodgeball.
what the fuck is this? You know what? Fuck it. I'm done. I am not dealing with this shit no more. I'm done.
Wait a damn minute. This part wasn't included in the script.
I'm done.